With the spring game around the corner, who've been the biggest standouts in practice?
You are Locked On Huskies, your daily podcast on the Washington Huskies, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back into another edition of the Locked On Huskies podcast. I'm Roman Tomashoff. That's Lars Hanson. He's the site editor over with Athlon Sports inside the Huskies. I'm the site editor with Huskies Wire. Thank you for making this your first watch or first listen today. And today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 with any winning $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn to get started. So, Lars, we had a really fun idea, and it's going to involve a lot of rapid fire, but we wanted to make sure we could shout out as many guys as possible who have stood out this spring in this new team with this. Just truly, it is an entirely new team under a new coaching staff. So we are going to be drafting our own rosters. We're going to let the everydayers choose in the comments which one they liked better. So with that being said, we're going to do a full roster, 22 guys each, 4-2-5 defense, 3 receivers on offense. So with that being said, I'm going to let you have the first pick. Where are you going with this?
Ooh, well, put me on the clock here. So after some consideration, right, we had some thoughts yesterday about what we're going to do and how we're going to do this. I'm going to take the guy we've talked about the most, and it's not the quarterbacks, right? We've discussed the quarterbacks are not going to be the first pick because, let's be real here, we got 2 quarterbacks on the roster. So I'm going to take Denzel Boston with the first pick. Okay, I was going to say, a guy we talked about basically every single day, every single time, the guy that makes the offense go. Now, yes, we're going to need an offensive line, but even if this game turns into a 7-on-7 game, Denzel is going to have 10 for about 210.
See, this is where I wanted to give you the first overall pick, because I'm going to take Jeremiah Hunter, where I'm going to mark that down right now. But since we're going snake draft style here, give me Drew Azzopardi so I can make sure I have one of those offensive line spots locked down. Give me a nice right tackle right there. And I feel like I just have to go there, where he's been by far the best offensive lineman this spring.
Without question, yeah. And again, it's a devil's choice, right? So now you have Drew Azzopardi and Jeremiah Hunter. Great selections. I can't fault you for that one. In that similar vein, I'm going to go with Elijah Jacquet just to get me an offensive tackle because, let's be real, we don't have a ton of offensive linemen to choose from. And I think it's probably fair to say we're not going to draft Landon Hatchett or guard Memolar since they haven't really been practicing. So give me an offensive lineman there. And then I'm going to go on the defensive side because knowing who you just took on offense, give me Ephesians Prysock.
Okay.
Give me that tall body.
I like that.
I need somebody to cover Jeremiah. So give me Ephesians Prysock.
So okay, I like where you're going with that. So give me Jonah Coleman. I'm just gonna get that one off the board, where he's been one of the best players we've seen out there this spring. And I like where you're going with with getting a defender off the board early. So give me Sebastian Valdez. I've been really impressed with him this spring. I think that as he continues to get integrated in the defense, we look towards fall camp. He's somebody that I'm really looking towards as making a big impact this fall. So give me a nice pass rusher there from the interior.
I like that pick. I mean, again, it's so funny because we're talking about, it's almost a dealer's choice with some of these guys, right? Where if you take one, I'm going to take the other. So I have 2 picks in a row. Is that right? Or
yeah.
You're going,
yeah. Back-to-back picks here.
So you take a defender. I'm going to take another one. I'm going to take Carson Bruener to stop and slow down Jonah Coleman, because if you're going to take Sebastian Valdez, I need somebody in the middle of that defense to play quarterback. And then on top of that, give me – how do I want to do this? This is where it gets interesting. You know what? I'm going to stump the draft. I'm going to go back to back. Give me Zach Durfee off the edge. Give me Zach Durfee off the edge.
I don't think that counts.
Or do not want. Oh,
right. He's not playing in the spring game. He's not playing in the spring game. We're doing our own purple and gold here.
Then give me Voight and Durfee, because that was the original one I wanted to go with. And so I kind of honestly I didn't forget that Durfee was hurt, but yeah, the late injury in camp. Yeah, we'll count that one out. But again, he is somebody I want to count on for the fall.
Absolutely. He's somebody who it's great that you mentioned him, because there have been so many guys we wanted to make sure we mentioned over the course of the show, just from wrapping up all the spring practices that we've seen. So I like where you're going with that. I'm going to go with another offensive lineman here. Another guy who has definitely made some nice strides here. Give me a center. I'm taking Zach Henning. I'm getting him off the board right there, putting him in the middle of my offensive line. I think that's going to be a really fun pick. And then this is tough where I know if I take a quarterback, you're just going to be able to wait on him. So I'm going to go with a little bit more help for the quarterback here, and I'm going to take Giles Jackson. He's somebody who we've had a lot of fun watching this spring. I think that he could fill a major role this fall in terms of being a target vacuum, being a security blanket on third down. So give me Giles.
I like that. You took my guy. But I can't fault that.
I sure did. Sniped him from you.
So in that same vein, I need to go back to the offensive line. I do need to go back to the offensive line. Give me Kaylee Tafai. Another solid tackle because I can play GK. Since you got Azzopardi, both of my tackles can go either way at this point. So worth noting that I don't have a specific left and right tackle there. And then give me, you know what? If you take Giles, I'll take Rashid Williams. Give me the younger version of that. So now we both have two receivers dialed in there, and I still got to figure out a couple other positions here.
You stole him from me. I was going to take Rashid here. So this is where I'm going. Because one thing that I know I've talked about a lot over the course of these shows and just on Huskies Wire as well, is I'm really, really high on what I think this defensive line can do. I've been really excited watching some of those guys. So I'm going to double up on the front here. I'm going to take Javon Parker off the board. And then I'm going to take my first edge rusher. And I'm going to take Lance Holtzclaw, where I really do appreciate you just neglecting the pass rush there a little bit to start. So I really like this tandem of guys right here in Valdez, Javon Parker, and Lance Holtzclaw. That's a trio of names I think we're going to be calling a lot this fall. So let's give them a shout out here this spring as well.
No, absolutely. And again, that's kind of why I took the Void pick was a solve of inside outside because it can go either way with that one. So with that being said, I need some interior defensive line help. So I am gonna go. Actually, do I need interior? Well, yeah, I do absolutely. See, now it gets interesting. So you know what? Just give me Jacob Bandis as an inside plug guy because again. We've seen Armand Parker there. We've seen Russell Davis there. We've seen a number of guys in that second rotation behind Javon. Actually, Bandis has been more with Parker in that first veteran set, shall we say? Yeah. And then I need, you know what? I'm gonna take a page out of your book and give me Jacob Lane on the edge.
I like that.
Yeah, again, another versatile pick in the Voight Tanuki role. We can go inside, outside. Obviously, has the frame for both. I need to shore up the edges. Give me Jacob Lane. Give me the fast lane.
I like where you're going there. I was certainly going to make a pick there. So I was certainly going to try to – hopefully I can get him to round out my defensive line there. So I'm going to double up on the defense here. And I've got a lot of fun options here. So give me Jordan Shaw on the nickel because he has been far and away probably the best. He's had the best camp, at least I would say, of any defender, where Ephesians Prysock is probably the best corner on this team, but Jordan Shaw has certainly had the best camp. And then give me some veteran leadership in that secondary. Give me Cameron Fabiculanen at one of those safety spots. I really think that that's somebody who Vinny Sunseri, who Steve Belichick, who they're all going to rely on a whole lot this fall. Carson Bruener is going to be calling the defense, that's for sure. But I think that Cameron Fabiculanen might end up being the heart and soul of this defense. And Lars, we're going to keep going with this little exercise, making sure we can shout out as many players as we can right after a quick break. And we got a message for our good friends over at Monopoly Go. All right, game off. We got to pause here to talk more about Monopoly Go. I know what you're saying. Flag on the play. You already talked about that, but there's just so much good stuff in this game. In Monopoly Go, you can team up with friends for time tournaments where you work together to build up each other's boards. The more you win together, the more awesome prizes you unlock, and there's so much to get. There are unique stickers you can trade with your friends to complete albums for big prizes. There are cool new playing pieces to travel the board with, hilarious emojis for taunting friends when you smash their buildings or heist their vaults. Plus, Monopoly Go feels new and exciting every day with constantly changing tournaments and challenges. A ton include their own unique mini games like digging for treasure or a robot pachinko machine. There's always new timed events that help you win big, like massive multipliers for everything you win or rent frenzies. There's always something to discover in Monopoly Go. So get off the bench and go download it now free on Google Play or the App Store. All right, game on. All right, Lars, you're up. I'm having a lot of fun with this. This is good. I hope the everydayers are enjoying this as well, because this is a really fun exercise where we just wanted to get through as many guys as we possibly could.
No doubt. And I'm also trying to make sure that I'm not losing a bunch of picks here in the process because I feel like I've only made one I feel like you made more than I have, but we're just going to keep pushing with it.
Well, no, you're up with 2, and then you'll be up by 1.
Cool. Okay, there. Okay, I was going to say, I was like, I know I'm not great at math, but with that being said, so getting back to the board here, I'm going to take Cameron Davis because you did take Jonah Coleman pretty early on. I should probably get a safe running back there. He has, again, been working back from that lower body injury, but again, he's looked pretty good in spring. Like I think they're tempering him coming back into the spring because they know what he's going to be in the fall. So give me Cameron Davis, and then give me Thaddeus Dixon. I need some bullies on the outside. I need some bullies. I need some bullies on this team, and so I still need to get some safety help over the top because man, that was a great pick by Fabiculanen, but I think you know who I'm going to take unless you really want to snipe another safety.
I think I might end up sniping the safety that you're referencing here, but this is fun because the offensive line is certainly a position that we want to see need some help. I wanted to cheat and take D'Angelo Titiali. That's not going to happen because I don't know if he counts. He was at a spring practice, but
is he going to play in the game? Is he going to play? If I cannot take Durfee, you cannot take. Give me Jaden Wayne while we're on it too. Give me
So, all right, you know what? With that being said, I'm going to shore up my defensive line. I'm going to finish it off, and I'm going to take Isaiah Ward, who I have absolutely loved watching this spring. He's super athletic. He's somebody who is really lean right now, and as he continues to add weight, I think he's somebody who, like the rest of my defensive line here, is going to be a huge part of just what the pass rush plan is going to be up front this spring. And then, you know what? I don't have any linebackers here. I'm going to go with Alfonso Tupatala. Get one of those veteran guys in there. So give me Alfonso Tupatala. Just help round out this defense. I've still got a couple pieces to go in the secondary here, but I'm feeling pretty good about this front seven so far.
No, I'm liking it. I'm trying to kind of pick and see where you're going where. So I got Thaddeus. So let me see. I got that. I just gave you credit for Thaddeus here. So give me. I do need some more offensive line help. Bodies are thin. You know what? Give me Michael Watkins because I technically need a center. I technically need a center before we get too far down the weeds into this thing. He has looked good. Obviously, he's got the size for it. I don't expect him to play more than 4 games in the fall, but I do think with him enrolling early, that's somebody to watch for the 2025 and 26 season for sure.
Absolutely. So you got one more pick there.
Ooh, you didn't take him, I believe. Give me Mikel Steen because I need some safety.
I did not.
I was gonna say, I just realized, I have not taken it. It was between him and Tristan Dunn. Both of them look good, but I need the veteran. You took Cam Fab. Give me the other veteran in the Steen.
So I like where you're going there. So now I'm going to hold off on some of my safety picks here. And, I think I'm going to go back to the pass catcher well here, and I'm going to go with a tight end, but I'm not going to go with Quentin Moore. I'm going to go with Decker DeGraff. I've really enjoyed watching Decker this spring. I think that he's somebody who's got a chance to move into a really, really big role this year. And then, you know what? I'm going to do it now. Give me DeMond Williams on this team. We've been holding off on it, and it's not because DeMond hasn't been, one of the 5 most impressive players at camp this year. I just, we wanted to see how long we could wait without just pulling the trigger there. So give me DeMond Williams to round out my offense, and I still need one more wide receiver in this, but I wanted to make sure that I could take him off the board and get a chance to just continue to talk about how impressive he is. He really doesn't look like a freshman when he's back there. The more we watch him at camp, the more excited I am to just see what his potential is moving forward.
Yeah, no, it was one of those dealer's choice because in a normal draft in any 2027, I think 2027. I got the mute button in there. We made sure not to get it in there. But DeMond's probably going to go first round sort of thing in any other draft, but ours because we don't have more than 2 quarterbacks to choose from. So I will now leave that pick last for me because I know exactly who I'm taking there. So to your point, give me. I like that. So I got 2 in a row, right?
Yep.
Give me. See, this is an interesting one because I kind of want to go back to that pass catching route with Quentin Moore.
That'd be a good option to have there.
Yeah, with that size, give me Quentin Moore at tight end. Again, all reliable. His hands have not been an issue. I think he's gonna be a pretty dependable option this spring, this fall, especially within the 20s. And then we're doing 5 offensive line, right? So we do need to theoretically get a full offensive line. I am going to, it's really a dealer's choice. Give me Audric Harris. I'm going to round out my receiver.
I was thinking about going there.
Because you know what? When you look at the rest of the offensive line bodies, this is no disrespect to anybody that we have not mentioned yet. But again, all that offensive line flux has just been, you can put them at right guard, right tackle, left tackle. We've both got our tackles and centers figured out. So now it's just a matter of rounding out those offensive lines later in the draft.
So speaking of rounding out the offensive line, give me Paki Finau. He's somebody who I didn't want to say anything because I wanted to make sure that I got a chance to talk about him. I really like watching Paki. He's really progressed. He's been playing a lot of guard mainly so far this spring. And it's something that you and I have talked about with our good buddy, Ben Glassmeyer. It's something we've talked about on this show. It's something we've written about where he seems to be on that Troy Fautanu path, where they're going to start him off at guard, where he's still a little bit smaller and he needs to continue to bulk up, but he moves so well and he's got so much power in his frame that as he continues to develop and as he continues to learn technique and learn the position, he's somebody who can kick out to tackle. But right now it's something where there's still certainly a learning curve with him, but moving forward, I really like what his potential could be. So give me Paki Finau there. And then I'm also going to take Sione Fasolo, who is still on the board here like that. Now my tackles are rounded out where he's somebody else who I don't know if he's ready to play this year personally, but the more I watch him, the more I look at his frame, the more all the makings of a future tackle are there. He doesn't have the size of Justin Hilkema, who is coming in this fall and is somebody who's already super built and super fun to watch on film. I know our buddy Ben loves him as well, but the more I look at Sione Fasolo, I think that if he just spends one more year in the weight room, he's somebody who could be contending for a starting spot next season.
Oh, no doubt. That's the case with a lot of these younger offensive linemen where they're getting these reps in this spring and they're becoming banked reps for next season. Yeah. They'll get some reps in the fall and reserve roles. Like Paki probably wouldn't start as a freshman, but certainly by the time he's a sophomore or redshirt freshman, however many games he ends up playing, will be those building blocks in the future. I like both those picks. Need to go back to the defensive line here. I'm going to take Alenius Davis.
Okay.
I believe he's still on the board here. I need to kind of shore up that interior defensive line. That means I'm going to kick Voy out to outside. So now I will have a real interesting looking defensive line. And then on top of that, here's kind of the conundrum that I'm in because there's a couple different positions that I can go. I'm going to take, you know what? I'm going to take a veteran that Robert Bala praised a lot, coach's coach, Drew Fowler, linebacker.
That was my next pick. That was my next pick. I really like that. Go ahead.
And so with Drew being put on scholarship and just kind of being that third kind of key veteran in that room, right, where they bring in Anthony Ward, they're bringing in a couple other guys in that room. You have Kamori House and others that have gotten the reps. But Drew's really been that kind of solid staple, and putting him next to Carson just –
oh, absolutely. Yeah. So that's a lot of fun. So you've left me a lot of options. I'm going to go to the defensive backfield where I need a lot of help. Give me Elijah Jackson, who's somebody who I've really liked the progression we've seen from him this spring, truly, where I think he's done a really good job developing under John Richardson. I think he's gotten a little bit stronger. He's becoming a little bit more willing, in my opinion, to come up and play press coverage, where I don't think he wasn't willing to do it before, but in what this defense is and what they're asking him to do, I think he's a great fit for that. I like his athleticism. I like his long arms. I just like what he can do just in totality with that. So then I'm going to take my other safety right now. And I know it's who you're thinking. I'm taking Peyton Waters, where I've just been so impressed by him. He's somebody I can't say enough good things about, because the more I watch him, the more I see his ceiling. And he's somebody where I liked the high school film where I said, okay, I could see him going here. I could see him playing there. And now that I see him truly settling in at safety, where, I've seen a lot of things about him potentially playing corner, where it's I really like him here at safety. I like that they're being flexible with him. I like that they're throwing a lot at him early, and basically in a sense, they're forcing him to swim, but he's also doing a really good job of not only keeping his head above water, but learning and progressing and growing every single day. And I've been really, really impressed with that.
No doubt. I mean, Peyton is the guy that, without question, is going to see the field as a true freshman. It's just a matter of how many games is he going to play, and then certainly moving forward in 25 and down the road, he would become almost kind of that next Cam Fab, where he's just the staple of the secondary. What Cam Fab turned into, shall we say, right? Where he came in as a 4-star, took a little bit of time to get going. That's not been the case with Peyton. So to your point, I probably do need to go get some second safety help. This is not going to be good in any stretch of the imagination. I don't mean that as a slight towards the player, but it's not necessarily how I wanted this board to fall. Give me Tristan Dunn.
Yeah, you're just terrified of my team. That's why you're saying that.
So you know why I'm taking all the size is what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Here. And then I'm gonna double down on defensive backs to get a nickel, and it's not necessarily a nickel, but I'm gonna slot him in a nickel. Give me Leroy Bryant.
I like that. Okay.
And because it was and the reason why I want to say this clearly, Dyson McCutcheon would have been that pick, but with the size, I want somebody a little bit bigger in that slot. But that is no disrespect to Dyson, because if Dyson's still on the board, he would be a guy that I want to have with kind of Leroy in that mold.
I've been kind of you know what, I'll get to that after the break, because I have some thoughts about Dyson. And we'll get there right after a message from our friends over at Game Time, because I am so excited for the NBA playoffs, and I really wish the Seattle Sonics were still around, because it would be so much fun to attend a game with Carroll last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and their lowest price guarantee. Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying tickets for the NBA playoffs. It's so much fun. Game Time has so many cool things that you can do. It's got last-minute deals where you can save up to 60% off of buying last-minute for sports, concerts, comedy, theater, and so much more. You got flash deals where you can save even more with exclusive in-app deals on select seats ahead of the game or event. They're all-in prices when you toggle that feature. It shows the total upfront with no surprise fees at checkout, and their lowest price guarantee, which means Game Time will credit you 100%, 10% of the difference. If you can find a lower price somewhere else, you can take the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKDOWNCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. So, Lars, we're coming down to the end of this here, and I'm glad we've kind of fired through these, because I wanted to make sure we had some time to talk about some of our favorite picks, just some of these guys that have stood out that we wanted to make sure we got on these rosters that we haven't talked about yet this spring. Because one of those guys for me is Dyson McCutcheon, where Dyson has been running with the ones a lot. He's been playing that nickel role. It's kind of been him and Jordan Shaw switching off over there. So I realize I have two nickelbacks now with this group that I do have, but you've got two. Or no, you've got Audric Harris. I think Audric Harris is somebody who Dyson would run with for me personally. He can't run with him step for step, but he can certainly lock him up. He's done a really, really good job at just improving in coverage. So give me Dyson, and then I would certainly stick Jordan Shaw on Rasheed Williams and just let him go to work there. I really like what that matchup could look like. And I'm going to take a second, shorter slot guy who can play inside, can play outside a little bit, because we've seen him do some fun stuff on the outside, and that's Keith Reynolds. So I'm going to take Keith Reynolds right here. And that means you are up with your last two picks, because I want to talk about Keith in a sec.
So are these my last two in terms of for the entire team?
Oh, no, sorry. You have three left. I already penciled in Will Rogers for you.
Okay. Well, I was gonna say, let me just make sure I do get a quarterback drafted, because I guess I could sign Rogers UDFA, theoretically.
I don't think that's how this works.
No, but I will leave that one for the very end. I do need. So here's an interesting kind of theory, but I do need actually some more offensive line help. In reality, is what I'm looking at.
Yeah, you do.
So give me who's still on this roster, because. There's a couple guys.
I've got a fun steal for you, who I think has played very well this spring.
So there's a combination of one of Parker Cross, Royce Cleveland, and Aiden Anderson. So I need two of those guys, theoretically.
Yeah. I'm not telling you which one I want.
So I'll take Aiden and Royce.
Okay.
So
good, because I wanted Parker Cross.
Yeah, and that will be one for me where, and again, this is kind of where we can kind of start to explain the draft a little bit, because with these offensive line units, let me just run through. I'm just going to run through mine. It's Jaquette.
First, run through your team, yeah.
Oh, no, I was going to run through the offensive line before I run through
please.
the team.
Okay.
Just because it's so it's Elijah Jaquette, Kaylee Tafai, Michael Watkins, and 2 walk-ons. That's a redshirt freshman, a freshman, and 2 walk-ons. So when we talk about the spring offensive line, this is no disrespect to the players. It's just it's not at the level of what you usually have when you come in for a spring camp. That's why this offense has kind of been hard to judge, because I remember you said it on one show, it's like, well, when the defense does get pressure, it's like, when do they not? I mean, and it's not, again, it's not any first of all, when you have Zach Durfee going against a walk-on or freshman, whatever, that's not a fair comparison. Right now, Elijah Jaquette has looked well at times against Durfee and other guys, but you can clearly see there's still a room to grow, which is what you want to see.
There's a lot of room to grow.
But we got to have 5 offensive linemen for this draft, and so I need to get real creative with this unit.
So I'm going to run through my team, and I'm going to pick 2 guys, 1 offense, 1 defense that I want to talk about. And then you're going to run through yours. And then for all the everydayers, make sure you leave a comment down below at who you think won this draft, because we just want to have a lot of fun with this. So I've got Damon Williams, Jonah Coleman, Jeremiah Hunter, Giles Jackson, Keith Reynolds, Decker DeGraff, Drew Azzopardi, Paki Finau, Zach Henning, Parker Cross, and Sione Fasolo on my offense. So I'm going to run through the defense. I'm going to come back. Sebastian Valdez, Javon Parker, Lance Holtzclaw, Isaiah Ward. I've got, you know what? I didn't have one more linebacker in here. I'm taking Brian Parham. That was the one guy I was missing. So give me I got Brian Parham and Alfonso Tupatal at linebacker. And then in my secondary, I've got Jordan Shaw. I've got Cameron Fabiculanen, Elijah Jackson, Peyton Waters, and Dyson McCutcheon. So on defense, because I didn't get a chance to talk about him, Brian Parham. He's somebody who is certainly comfortably running with the second team right now, but I like the depth that he brings. I like his speed. I like a whole lot of other things that he does, where I think that he's somebody who they might ask him to split out and cover tight ends a little bit more often than we might expect at this point right now, because he runs really, really well for his size, where he's not the biggest guy in the world, but he runs well, and I think could drop back and play a little bit just in pass coverage if need be. And then on the offense, I wanted to talk about Keith Reynolds, because he's somebody who continues to impress me day in and day out. He's such a fluid route runner. He's not the biggest guy in the world either, but he's really filled out his frame. He did that last season and has continued to do so just over the course of the offseason and into the spring. And I think he's somebody who, as we see the departure of Giles Jackson after this year, is somebody who I'm really, really looking forward to in 2025.
No, and again, I'm really excited to see how this. I mean, Jedd, I know you listen to the show, so if you want to divide the teams out kind of like this, I'll give Brennan the discretion to change the offensive line combinations to be a little more fitting and effective, because I'll be honest, I'm not sure how effective mine would be, but that's the reason why I want to go Rodgers at my quarterback, because what's one thing that the offense is doing? Just get the ball out. You got I'll run through my team. Will Rodgers the quarterback, Cameron Davis running back, and my trio of receivers, Denzel Boston, Rasheed Williams, and Audric Harris, the true freshman. Reliable Quentin Moore is my tight end. Elijah Jaquette, Kaylee Tafai, Michael Watkins, Aiden Anderson, Russ Cleveland is my offensive line. My defensive line, I did have some questions about, but it's Voight Tanufi, Jacob Bandis, Elenius Davis, Jacob Lane. I don't know if I guess Voy is technically could be an inside-outside guy in that. So that's why I picked Voy in that scenario, because he can go inside outside. And we've seen him do a little bit of both. Jacob Lane also provides some position versatility. We go to linebacker. My God, I got Dick Buckets real happy right now. Rest in peace. But with Carson Bruener and Drew Fowler. So those linebackers to me, Damon can run. I dare him, because my linebackers right here. And then on the outside, I got Ephesians Prysock and Thaddeus Dixon, with Leroy Bryant as my slot corner, and Michaela Steen and Tristan Dunn as my safeties. Again, these are some of these picks I went in thinking, okay, I want to see how Dunn looks next to Steen, because he has been also coming down into that hybrid rover spot. And honestly, Leroy Bryant's got enough coverage skills. He can kind of figure it out almost at any position in the field. He has not played safety, to be very clear, but I do feel confident if we went to a single high safety look for 1 or 2 plays, that he can figure that one out.
And go ahead. Yeah.
Well, one thing real quick, I do want to add this that we are clearly in the Mike Leach never punt, never kick camp. But with that being said,
it's a spring game.
Well, no, but with that being said, what's his number? Saul. Because
Adam Saul.
Adam Saul has, I mean, again, not all of them have been consistent, but that punting battle has been a quietly really intriguing battle that we've been watching throughout practice where we're like, okay, who just sent that nuke? Oh, that was Saul. Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
Grady Gross, as always, has been almost money from pretty much any spot on the field. He's missed a couple, but I'm not worried about Grady Gross at this point. So I just want to give the special teamers a shout out there because we're not going to draft him. I thought about drafting Grady for a second because I might need a field goal to win the game, but alas.
Hey, he's winning the game for either team in a spring game because, and that leads into what I wanted to say where this is, we're not 100% sure how Jedd and Brendan Carroll and Steve Belichick are going to be dividing the teams for the spring game. So we want to do this little exercise to, again, shout out all the players that we have seen so far this spring because a lot of them have done a good job. And we've kind of stuck to a couple guys who stood out day in and day out. One guy who neither of us drafted that I'm a little surprised by is Adam Muhammad, where I thought you were going to go Adam Muhammad over Cam Davis. So wanted to make sure we got that in there on the back end as well. But this was a lot of fun, Lars. As always, thank you so much for being here. And to all the everydayers, the spring game is on Friday. So on our Friday show, we are going to make sure we're bringing you a full preview of everything you're going to want to watch for when you get to the spring game because it is open and free for everybody. And with that being said, thank you so much for tuning in. And please feel free to subscribe wherever you get your podcast, whether that's YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Music. We're there. We're everywhere. We're updating the channel, do content every single day. So please make sure to hit that subscribe button, click that little bell so you never miss when we post a new video. If you're audio only, please leave us a 5-star review as it all really does help the show out a lot. And again, please feel free to drop those comments. Who won? It was definitely me. But with that being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and we will talk to you on Friday.